The United States is conducting exercises in the South China Sea amid rising tensions with China. The U.S. Navy and Marines are conducting joint exercises in the South China Sea, but tensions with Beijing have risen over the downing of a Chinese spy balloon. The Japan-based 7th Fleet said on Sunday that the carrier strike group USS Nimitz and the 13th Marine Expeditionary Force were commanding a joint expeditionary strike force in the South China Sea. He said training involving ships, ground forces, and aircraft would take place on Saturday, without giving details on when the training began or ended. China claims nearly all of the South China Sea and is adamantly opposed to military activity by other countries in the South China Sea, where $5 trillion worth of goods are transported each year. The United States has not taken an official position on sovereignty over the South China Sea, but insists that freedom of navigation and overflight must be preserved. Several times a year, it sends ships past fortified Chinese outposts in the Spratly Islands, prompting protests from Beijing. The United States is also strengthening its defense alliance with the Philippines. The Philippines is facing an invasion of its islands and fisheries by the Chinese Coast Guard and a nominally civilian but government-backed fleet. U.S. military exercises were planned in advance. They came as already strained relations between Washington and Beijing were soured last weekend by a diplomatic dispute sparked by a balloon that was shot down in U.S. airspace off the coast of South Carolina. The U.S. said the unmanned balloon was equipped to detect and collect information signals, but the Chinese government claimed it was a meteorological airship that accidentally veered off course. The balloon prompted Secretary of State Antony Blinken to abruptly cancel a perilous trip to Beijing to defuse tensions. After initially expressing a very rare disappointment with the balloon, China has stepped up its rhetoric that the U.S. launch was an overreaction and violates international norms. China's defense minister has refused to accept a call from U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to discuss the issue. Since then, the U.S. has blacklisted 6 Chinese companies it said were linked to Beijing's aerospace program as part of its response to the incident. The House also unanimously accused China of blatantly violating U.S. sovereignty and trying to deceive the international community by making false claims about China's intelligence-gathering campaign. The Pentagon said the balloon was part of a major surveillance program that China has been conducting for several years. China's balloons have flown to dozens of countries on 5 continents in recent years, according to the U.S., and after close monitoring of her one shot down near South Carolina, more can be said about the balloon program. It is said that he learned. The 7th Fleet said in a press release that the joint operation had established a strong presence in a region that supports peace and stability. As a ready-to-deploy response force, it supports a wide range of missions, including marine landings, humanitarian disaster relief, and deterrence of potential adversaries with visible and actual combat capabilities, the press release said. It is written,